Hey everyone, I just want to do a chilled out kind of discussion video this week about a really big change that I made to reviews last year that I just never explained. I just made the change and that was that and we moved on and no questions asked. And obviously I have had a lot of questions asked about it. And so I thought, I should probably try to explain it a bit. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why I stopped scoring movies, why I stopped giving them a rating, and just kind of take you guys through the process that led me to make that decision. Okay, so there's a lot of very interweaved and interconnected ideas going on here, so I'm gonna do my best to try to flow through them logically, but there's a pretty high chance that's not gonna happen because this was a pretty complex thing for me. This was a decision that built up over, a year to maybe 18 months. There was a lot that kind of went into it, a lot of different factors. And so, yeah, let me do my best to break this down. So basically, if you've joined me in the last year and you've got no idea that I ever used to score movies at all, I used to score movies on a 0 to 10 scale with decimal points. So basically a 100-point scale where I could score movies, like an 8.4 or 3.5 or 9.7, stuff like that. And at one point, I don't know which video it was, I just dropped it. I just stopped scoring movies. It used to be my way of wrapping up a video. I'd talk and just off the cuff improvised say stuff about the movie and then I've run out of stuff to say, so okay, and I give the movie a so-and-so out of 10. Anyway, that's well and truly gone now, and now what I try to do is try to find something of value to say about the movie. Rather than bringing things down to a number, I try to bring things down to a kind of definitive statement about how I feel about the movie, or what value I found in the movie, or something that I want to definitively communicate to you guys. And so when it came to dropping scores, I think that the main thing for me was that people were assigning so much value to that number, more value than I assigned to it. Like, the thing is, I used to do a lot longer reviews back then, right? Because they were way more improvised. There was no planning, there was no notes. There was just like, I'm gonna talk about it and kind of do my best, and Jay and I would flow off each other. It's a lot. I can't improvise like that anymore on my own, because basically what would happen is one of us would like run out of ideas and we'd sense, the other person would sense that and they'd pick up and start going. And to keep the flow going, now I've just got to generate it all myself. So I used to do longer reviews, and that score became a way of just wrapping it up, just stopping it there, going, I've said all I can say, let's give it a number, and let's go roll to credits, or whatever we call it on YouTube. But the thing for me slowly became that if I'm going to spend all that time talking about a movie, that's the part that's important. All of those words that I've said, talking about the movie. The number doesn't really mean anything. It was just a thing that people did. They scored a movie. It's a shortcut to saying how they feel about it. And I just kind of worked out that no, it's not a shortcut. That number that I assign that movie cannot speak for all that I've just said and all that I probably wish I'd been able to say in that video. That number, I give a movie an 8 out of 10. That's just a rough It's a rough idea. It's not the conversation. It's not the discussion. It's not the extended kind of monologuing. I don't know what we call reviewing like this, but it's not that extended kind of process of going through a movie. It's just a number. And people get really, really attached to those numbers. They're like, oh, I can't believe you would give this score and you gave this score. And I'm like, I'm not working like that. I'm not trying to compare in my head. There can be 2 different types of 9 out of 10. There can be 4 different types of 9 out of 10. I could give 20 different movies a 9 out of 10. And it does not all mean that I think that they're all on the same value. Some of them might be, that's as good as I thought it was, or, it was nearly a 10, but there's some stuff missing, or, see, it's just confusing me now. Numbers are so confusing. And in that confusion is my next point, because we all pretty much rate on a, like a 1 to 10 scale, or a 0 to 10 scale, or a 0 to 100, or a 1 to 100, or a 1 to 5 stars, whatever it is. We know what the max of that scale is. That's as good as it gets. And we know that the bottom of that scale is as bad as it gets. But everyone seems to have a different value for the stuff along the way. I was giving movies a 7 out of 10, and people were going, oh, I didn't think it was average. And I'm going, yeah, no, I don't think it's average either. And they go, why'd you give it a 7 out of 10 then? And I'm like, what? Because a 7's good. And I slowly started to work out that not everyone assigns the same value to different numbers. Now, what makes sense to me is that if I'm on an 11-point scale, which is pretty much 0 to 10, it's 11 values, the middle point, which would be 5, would be average. And then you've got good to bad. But apparently that's not how everyone works. And obviously if you watch a lot of any person's videos or read a lot of anyone's reviews, you're gonna get a rough idea of what kind of value they give each of their numbers. But someone coming in who's never seen one of my videos before sees me give a movie a 5 out of 10 and all of a sudden I'm dunking on the movie, and that's not what I'm doing. I feel like the words should speak for themselves, but it kind of became clear that some people need the score to understand what I thought of the movie. And so it's a shame that I've taken that away from people, but I feel like all the stuff I've said before kind of was self-explanatory, the way that I've said it. You know, I feel like that explains how I feel about the movie itself. But yeah, people also just didn't seem to know what the score was for, you know? I don't treat my reviews as recommendations. I just see a movie and I sit down and talk about it, and you guys that watch are obviously interested in hearing what I have to say, and some of you guys might base whether you go and see the movie or not on whether I enjoyed it or not, and that's amazing to me. I love that you hold my opinion in that high of a regard. But I don't treat these reviews as recommendations, you know? Occasionally I might say, yeah, go out and see this movie. But I don't know you guys individually, you know? I try to connect with you guys as much as I can, but at the end of the day, I don't know what movies you do and don't like, so I can't recommend what you're gonna like and what you're not gonna like. I can only tell you guys what I do and don't like. And so yeah, at the end of the day, I don't rate movies at all, you know? If you were to ask me what's like a perfect 10 out of 10 movie, I could probably tell you because I know what a 10 is. You would ask, oh, so what's a movie that's a 9.9 then? And I'm going, huh? I just can't work that stuff out anymore. And I don't rate anything I see. I know whether I love it or I liked it, or, you know, I thought it was okay, or I didn't like it, or I hated it. I can speak in emotional terms. I can speak in my emotive response to a movie, or I can speak about, you know, how, you know, this scene worked. It's what I do on my other channel now. I talk about how this worked and what this means and how that, I can tell you all that, but I don't think I can take all those things and go, oh, I can, you know, do some equation to work out what number that movie gets. It's just, the whole thing just became confusing for me. And even if all of the stuff that I've said here doesn't make any sense to you, I think you guys should get a sense with just how bizarre I'm finding the whole thing now, that you're like, yeah, it's probably a good idea he's stopped rating movies. And the thing that's important for me to say is that you guys, if you want to score movies, that's up to you. It doesn't bother me, you know? I watch and as I've said, when I watch other people's reviews or I read other people's reviews, I don't really worry about the number. I'm there to read the good stuff, you know? I might hop onto Metacritic because I don't use Rotten Tomatoes. I might hop onto Metacritic and see, oh, this movie's on an 86. And that means that the majority of people like it. That's what I use it for. I don't use it as like, oh, the movie's an 86 out of, or like an 8.6 out of 10. And that's what everyone thinks of it. That's not how it works. I just go, yeah, obviously most people seem to like this movie. High chance I will as well. But I don't really worry even when I'm reading other people's reviews and stuff about the scores. But that doesn't mean that if you're interested in doing that, you want to assign value to your reviews, you want to, you know, break it down and add up an equation. You know, if you've got a thing for like cinematography, acting, editing, and you've got a thing you add up and it works for you, that's fine. That's actually the point of this, is do what works for you. And for me, giving movies a score doesn't work anymore. I feel like there's probably a lot of stuff that I missed about that, but you guys get the main reasons why I decided to step away from scoring movies. That is the point of this video. If there turns out to be enough content for another video on this topic at some stage, I might return to it and I might discuss it a little bit more. But for now, I feel like I've got the point across. And I guess the only other point that there is to make is that be aware when you are reading someone else's review or watching someone else's review of what their score means. You know, the unfortunate thing is that a lot of publications will now push the score to the top of the review. So it's the first thing you see. And some people just look at that and leave and don't read the rest of it, and then they're like, oh, I can't believe this person gave this score. And it's like, you got to read the rest. You've actually got to try to understand how that person scores movies, how they see movies. You know, you can't just watch one person, like one video from one person, or read one review from that person and think you understand how that person operates. You know, every publication has multiple reviewers. That's not just one person reviewing everything. So that's why when people say, I can't believe that IGN would give this game a this out of 10, but they gave this one a this out of 10. I'm like, did you check whether it was different critics? You know, same with other, you know, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, IndieWire, any of these YouTube channels that do movie reviews with multiple people. Just understand that different voices have different ideas and different opinions, and they may have an assigned rating system, but even people within a single publication may assign a different value to each of those numbers in the rating system. So all I'm saying is just be aware that it's a lot more complex than just a number. Anyway, I hope that this video was an adequate explanation for why I made this decision. I will be keeping an eye on any questions that you guys have in the comments and doing my best to answer any of them that you may have. If you want to see more videos like this on this channel, you can subscribe to Breaking Banter down there somewhere, as well as my other channel, Loverboy Media, over there. You can follow me on Twitter at Loverboy Media and on Instagram at Breaking Banter. And if you really want to support this channel, you can support us on Patreon. Thank you so much to anyone who is doing that already. You guys are amazing. You're all amazing, and I will see you all in the next video.